Well, it's been quite a weekend for Marvel as Deadpool and Wolverine is looking to be a $200 million opening weekend for that movie. And I went and saw that movie, and I will be doing a review on it on this channel. But the reason I'm making this video is on top of the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine is doing what it's doing in the box office and lots of hype about that, there was Comic-Con going on over in San Diego, and Marvel was, they said they're going to make a presentation there, and they made some quite a bit of announcements. One that I guess you could say kind of, I don't like to use this terminology, sort of broke the internet, if you will. So we're going to check that out on this video here. So hi, I'm Jared with Capture the Magic. And like I said, over in Hall H over at Comic-Con, which is sort of notorious for big announcements, we have, well, a couple. First off, the rumor of the Russo brothers coming back is confirmed. They are directing the next 2 Avengers movies. But the big announcement and the big reveal was this one right here, which we're going to watch right now. Which is Robert Downey Jr. coming back, but not as Tony Stark, but as Dr. Doom. Now, when I first heard this, I would have done a video on this last night, but we were driving home from visiting family in Missouri, and when I first heard it, I was confused. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Why would they do that? Robert Downey Jr. is Iron Man. Whether he likes that or they don't like that or not, he's Iron Man. And the more I thought, and then I remembered, I think there was a storyline, and sure enough, we were talking about it, and there's a storyline where Tony Stark does become Dr. Doom. I'm sure this is going to lean into the multiverse of things, the different version of Tony Stark becoming Dr. Doom. But either way, it was a big announcement, obviously, in the typical Robert Downey Jr. flair. He presented it sort of how he came in as Iron Man in the first one. And of course, here posing with the helmet here, he's, doing the typical almost Tony Starkish way of showing this off. I for sure was surprised. I think everybody in the internet was surprised, and on its face, I think most people were like, wait a minute, this makes no sense. But once you look into the fact, okay, there was a storyline where Tony Stark does become Dr. Doom, and we're talking about the multiverse now, and they talked to the next 2 movies. The next 2 Avengers movies in 2026 is Avengers Doomsday, and then in 2027 it is Secret Wars. You understand kind of where this is going. If you're unaware, Secret Wars is a multiverse war, essentially. So this is going to be, I'm sure, some sort of variant version of Tony Stark that becomes Dr. Doom. Now, what's interesting about this, first of all, on its face, I think this is obviously to get hype and attention for these movies, which this has done. I also think this kind of speaks to, and really, like Deadpool Wolverine, I'm not going to spoil anything, but they poke fun at the fact that Marvel since Endgame has not been the best, something that I've been saying in many others. And I think this is Marvel's way of sort of accepting that and realizing, okay, there's not as much excitement for these movies, because before this, I really don't think there was really any excitement going forward for these Avengers movies, because it doesn't have these characters that everyone, loved. It doesn't have Iron Man and Thor, Captain America, all these other ones. So I think this is their way of creating hype for it, which first off, if that's the case, they did that. Now, I can't say in terms of caring, like I'm not invested in this phase of Marvel. The first phase up until Endgame, I was all in it. I grew up reading the comics. I love Captain America. I love Thor. I love Iron Man. With these new ones, I feel like the Marvel would have been way better off taking a long break after Endgame and then relaunching everything with the X-Men. And so as of right now, I can't really even speak to where the MCU is as a whole, because I haven't really been that plugged into it. I did see Deadpool Wolverine, but that was more of a one-off self-contained movie, which honestly, after seeing it, it doesn't have really any greater impact in the MCU. So this is, I think, a way to get attention, grow hype for it, which I'm sure this definitely has done that. And there's also other rumors about a bunch of different things that may go on in these movies. So I'm sure that's going to continue to build it for the next couple of years. But bringing in Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, if your goal was to get eyeballs, it has done that. I can say I was surprised. Now, in terms of, obviously Kang was the villain in these movies. They haven't mentioned it, but Kang is no longer the big bad of these movies after Jonathan Majors was found guilty of domestic abuse. Personally speaking, I always thought Dr. Doom would have been a better villain, because he's a great villain. He's my favorite Marvel villain. He is truly a sinister villain. And Kang was always, if you grew up reading the comics or watching the cartoons, Kang was a villain that you would, there might be a 2-part episode, but he wasn't this big bad. He wasn't like a Thanos level villain. So I think Dr. Doom is a better villain. I think Robert Downey Jr. playing Dr. Doom makes it a very interesting villain. It's going to be hard to hate that villain with him playing it. It would be my guess. But I definitely think it gets people, obviously we're playing in nostalgia here. And I think in this phase of the MCU, I don't look. They're not really building a foundation. They're definitely playing off of nostalgia. If you've seen Deadpool Wolverine, that's basically what that movie is. Obviously, here with Robert Downey Jr., people have been wanting him to come back to the MCU ever since he left. So I wouldn't be surprised if you have more of these foundational characters of the MCU come back. I kind of look at it as a little bit of key jangling. Not really building foundations, but I think they can get some big pops off of this. That obviously, I think these movies will do well, given if you have a lot of these characters and these actors coming back. Now, for the greater MCU after these movies, I think they'd be much better off to take a break and chill out a little bit and let eventually bring in the X-Men, because now that you keep playing Hugh Jackman as Wolverine, the longer you do that, it's going to be really hard to recast that character. But all in all, very surprising news. I'm intrigued. I have no idea what that means for this movie, how much he's going to be in this movie, if he's a major character, if he's just sort of a cameo they decided to preemptively sort of announce to build hype up for it. But either way, you can definitely say that Marvel has owned this weekend and both the box office and in the hype and news category. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel, as we do lots of coverage over here of pop culture, theme parks, and other things like that. And let us know in the comments, what do you think about Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Doctor Doom? And do you think there's going to be even more cameos that are going to be announced here pretty soon? And until next time, we will see you later.